Hey, welcome back to the next episode of the Matt Chim Experience. Today, today I'm going to be doing a podcast on a thought I had while I was in the shower just moments ago. If you're watching this on video, you can see my hair's a little wet. So, what was the thought? I was thinking about step 1 in Alcoholics Anonymous. Step 1 is admitting you have a problem. We can apply this in many areas of our life, right? If you don't know, or you need help financially, you need help figuring out how to make more money. Step 1, admit that there is a problem. You need help getting healthier, you're really fat, right? If you never admit that you're really fat and you have a problem, you're not going to get towards the solution. Because why would you? If you don't admit a problem, then why would you change from the status quo? Humans have a bias, and it's known in a few different ways. And I'll refer to it as Tai Lopez talks about it in the 25 cognitive biases, and it's the commitment consistency bias. People, humans, once we do something and it works, we don't want to change because change brings uncertainty. And uncertainty, as Jordan Peterson talks about, in large part is where a lot of our negative emotion comes from. It has to be negative first, right? We have a negativity bias. So when something is uncertain, anxiety is actually formed off of uncertainty. Anxiety is formed on uncertainty and, the fear that something might be bad that happens. So going back to where we started, step 1, admit that you have a problem. Now that you admit it, you have a problem, you've gained a little awareness. You've gained the awareness that what you're doing right now isn't all that there is, and there is more out there. You have to be humble. It takes humility to admit that there's a problem. We have another bias. It's not necessarily a bias, but I wouldn't call it in a sense it is a personality trait as well, and it's narcissism. But there's different elements to narcissism. I think there's seven sides. There's vanity, you like to look at yourself. There's people who hate authority. There's people who feel that they're above others. They deserve more. That they're entitled to more. But one of the facets of narcissism is self-sufficiency narcissism. Tai Lopez also talks about this, and this is one of the forms of narcissism that we suffer from more than we would think, and it happens to nearly everyone, including myself. Self-sufficiency narcissism. What is that? Well, it's basically the fact that you're so narcissistic that you think you can do it by yourself. But hold on, maybe you can do it by yourself. There's some truth to both sides. But if you're trying to make a big impact and make some big moves, I guess you could say. If you're trying to make $10 million, if you're trying to get in the best shape of your life and you're super obese, you might want to look for outside help. And very often we do and we should look for outside help. That's how you learn. That's how you learn almost everything. You don't learn English from just, you're a baby. You don't just learn English randomly. You learn it from people around you. They're talking. You learn it from others. And that's another reason why Tai Lopez is so stressed. He stresses very heavily getting mentors and reading books. An author can spend 10 years to write a book, and you can read it in 1 week. Just think of that. This guy took 10 years to reach the conclusion that he got to. You can follow his path in a book in about a week, and you're cutting that curve. What's the alternative if you don't cut the curve? Learning it all by yourself? There's another book. I have it here, actually. I'll show you it. The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. In this book, he talks about how there's different kind of survival machines, and the survival machine that can learn through thinking and through thought and adaptation survives. It's not the strongest or fastest that survive. It's the most adaptable. Now, what does that mean to be adaptable? And going back to what I was talking about moments ago, before being adaptable, I just lost my train of thought here. Let me gather really quickly. We need to learn through mentors. Richard Dawkins talks about in the book, survival machines that can only learn through trial and error. Well, trial takes a lot of time. Error, it can be fatal. These survival machines that only use trial and error are not going to win in the game of life. So if step 1 is admitting you have a problem, what's step 2? And I'm not sure what step 2 of Alcoholics Anonymous is, but I'll tell you step 2 that I think it is. And funny enough, step 2 is actually step 1 of the 67 steps made by Tai Lopez. You'll see he's influenced me quite a bit. And it's to gain awareness. So first, let's say we admit we have a problem. Now we got to gain awareness about the situation. Why? Well, okay, we have a problem. What is that problem? What do we do about it? What are the other possible outcomes in the situation? How do those become? How do they happen? What causes them to happen? What causes what I have to happen to me happen? You start to learn more about the situation. Now, learning, of course, isn't going to change the situation, but it's going to allow you to make educated decisions, and it's going to allow you to make moves that will be effective. Imagine let's say I'm fat, and I admit I'm fat. You know what? I don't want to be fat, but I don't gain awareness. And I just start trying. Okay, well, I'm going to try. I'm not even going to, let's just pretend I'm super dumb. I'm not going to try learning. I don't know what a diet is because I eat like a fat person. So I'm going to try, I don't know, let's try eating some of this instead of that. And I just start changing what I eat, and I change from Big Macs to Whoppers or something. Of course, this is like a hyperbolic example, but you can see if you don't have the basic awareness that, calories in, create energy stored in fat. Less calories means less fat. If you don't have that basic awareness, you're going to be operating in the dark. It reminds me of a saying, the blind leading the blind. There are 3 types of people in the world. People who are watching what's happening, people who are making things happen, and people who are wondering what's happening. I think a big problem that we may have, blind leading the blind, is we may be listening to people who aren't watching what's happening, but are in fact wondering what's happening. And I'll give an example. I won't use any names, but I'll give an example from my life. When I was in grade 9, middle school, I had a teacher. This teacher, he's supposed to educate me on how to be something. I'm not sure exactly what the purpose of school was, but he's supposed to educate me. This guy needed more education himself. He was wondering a lot about life. He didn't know. He would talk in class about his relationship with his wife. It wasn't the best. He would talk about his financial status in class. It wasn't the best. We have a teacher teaching the children, a guy who is talking about how he's going to go on welfare. Now, he wasn't necessarily teaching me a financial class, but this guy didn't know, this guy, I don't think, I don't know if he was most cut out guy for the job. But the point is, oftentimes in life, we're being taught by people who don't know what to do. Now, that wasn't the best example because, if he was teaching me about finance and then he was going on welfare, that would be a much better example. But yeah. Have a great day.